Hey there, everyone. Peace and blessings. Let's talk a little bit about the banks and the secrets that they don't want you to find out about, and they're hoping that you will stay ignorant and stay in the dark as far as how they operate and how they make money. So let's talk a little bit about how they actually make money, and I'm only going to highlight a few ways because there's other ways that we still don't know about as a society, because there's just a lot of secret things that go on behind the bank vaults. So anyways, one way banks make money, of course, you come in with your deposit as a bank customer and you deposit your money into the bank. And they ledger that in their books, and they've got a deposit. Now, according to banking laws, they cannot loan out your deposit, and they cannot loan out their own credit. So how they skirt around that is we have something in our banking laws called fractional reserve banking. So I'll give you an example. You go in and you deposit $1,000 into your bank account. Well, the bank is only required by fractional reserve banking policies, they're only required to actually keep $100 of liquid assets to cover your $1,000 that you deposited. So the other $900 can then be fractionalized, and it can be loaned out to other customers. Now, in this instance, say you just put in $1,000 into your checking account just so you can write checks off of it, pay your bills or whatever. It's not an interest bearing or anything like that, so you're not making any money off of the $1,000 that you deposited in. In fact, you're probably paying money to the bank via monthly fees and all these different fees that they have now. You're actually paying them money to hold your money. So they take the $900 and they loan that out to other customers. Now they loan that out at a percentage. Probably we'll just be conservative and say 5%. So they're going to make 5% off of this $900 that they loaned out of your money, because it's not theirs, it's not their credit, it's your money. They're going to make 5% on that they loaned out, and you're going to receive $0. Okay? That's one of the ways, and they're doing this with thousands and millions of customers. So you can see how that can be a gravy train for banks. The banks they have absolutely no skin in the game in every instance, because banks do not loan money. We create money. When I say we, I'm saying people. We create money by way of our signature, because we hold the commercial energy, and without the people, then banks would not survive and would not thrive. So keep that in mind, especially when you are signing things, when you are putting your signature on things. Be mindful that that signature, your signature, carries a monetary value, and you need to be very, very well educated on what you're signing and how that signature could be monetized down the road with whomever it is you're doing business with or contract with. Okay, so be very, very careful in each and every single one of those instances, because I guarantee you that signature is being turned into money. Okay, so let's talk about some other ways that banks will make money. Aside of them getting money for liquidity from the Federal Reserve, and I'm told in some instances not paying any interest on the money that they receive from the Federal Reserve, which basically comes from us, the people. We fund them by way of taxes, inflation and more taxes. That's how the feds are able to just print the money and loan it out. Another way that banks make money is by way of you not knowing the interworkings of how they operate. So let's go back to your $1,000 that you deposited into your checking account. Okay, so that $1,000 you deposited into your checking account, let's say you wrote a $500 check out of that for your mortgage. And I know that's low. We're just using this as an example. And let's say you wrote a $500 check out of that for your car note. Okay? Now, when you wrote the $500 check, this is how they make even more money. When you write a check from your account, when you wire funds from your account, when you use your debit card from your account, anything that's outgoing from your account except for actually withdrawing cash, everything else outgoing, you are creating a security instrument each time that you do that, because again, that's another signature being applied to that instrument, which makes it negotiable. So when you write that $500 check for your mortgage, you've actually created a security. And the bank is hoping within the next 3 years that you don't find out how to reclaim that interest on that security, so they can tag it as abandoned and they can keep it, and then they can sell it, and then the money that they receive from that sold security, then they can fractionalize that 9 times, and they can do that over and over and over and over with each and every single one of your securities that you create out of your account, and then all the other millions of customers that they have out there that are just as ignorant to this process as well. So that's a big way that they create money. And this not only applies to your bank account, but this also applies to when you sign for a mortgage, you're creating a security. When you actually swipe your credit card, you are creating securities. When you get a car loan, you're creating a security. When you get a line of credit, you're creating a security. And I'm sure up until this point, you've never thought about it, you've never looked into it, and you have never reclaimed your interest on those securities. Really any type of a bank loan, you're creating a security. And then, of course, your bank account, as you're using your bank account, like I said, with your debit card swipes, your checks that you're writing out of the account, and any wires, transfers that you have going out of the account, you are creating securities. Now, I guess the catch in this situation is that you have to reclaim the interest on those securities within 3 years. And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do. Now, one of the things that I was talking with a friend of mine, and we were just crunching some numbers on, an average American family and their income, and we took a $60,000 a year income, and we just kind of totaled out, what they would pay per month out of their checking account. They probably write a check for their mortgage, write a check for the car, check for the insurance, check for groceries, okay? And there's going to be more stuff than that. You'll have to look at your individual bank account, of course, and go through it once you learn the process and go through it and then reclaim it with the bank. But in this example, we rounded it up at about $2,000 per month of securities that this particular family creates. And $2,000 a month times 12, that's $24,000 per year of security that this family created. Now, how many people would that benefit if they were able to, at the end of the year, be able to receive those funds back from the bank. That would help a lot of people tremendously. And so this is what I'm wanting to do, is help a lot of people, because a lot of people are struggling. Another thing that we're going to discuss in the class is we're going to go through the laws and how this all is lawful, and how it all relates, because how I put the information together, it's not in one book that says, hey, this is how you reclaim security that you create every time you sign your name to an instrument. It's not just in that one book. It's all over the place. And I think it's that way so that we won't figure it out, and that we will continue to be ignorant and continue to be extorted by these different entities and so forth. So let me just kind of drive the example home so you can really understand. So you're writing checks out of your account. You're creating a security. 3 years, that security does not get claimed back by you. Then it gets sold. And if you have been following the mortgage process and subprime crash and all of that, I'm sure you've heard of the term securitization. Okay, securitization is basically where they take pieces of your mortgage and they put them with other homeowners' pieces of their mortgage, and they lump them together, and then they sell them as an investment on Wall Street. Okay, that's one example where you created a security and then it's being monetized and then it's being sold. The example with the bank, with your particular bank, is the security that you created throughout the 3 years. Those are getting bundled together with other customers' securities that they've created, and then because they're negotiable instruments, they're being all bundled together and they're being sold. And they could be sold on Wall Street, they could be sold to other banks, they could be sold to the Federal Reserve. They can be monetized in a number of ways. And the monies that's received from that, this is where, again, full disclosure comes into play, because we're not, as bank customers, we're not fully having the information disclosed to us how our signature is creating all this money out there. So those funds that they receive for the securities that they actually sell, they're not telling you about it, and they're not sharing any of the profits with you whatsoever. So then they sell the securities, they have the funds, their liquidity goes up, and now they're able to loan more money. They fractionalize the funds first, because they only have to hold a tenth. They can fractionalize it 9 times, so they only have to hold a tenth of it in liquid assets within the bank. So then they can multiply that times 9, and they just do this over and over and over and over and over. This is why, we see, if you go downtown, the largest, nicest buildings that you'll see are bank buildings. So some of the things that we're going to cover in the class, whereby we're going to teach you how to reclaim your interest in the securities that you create. And this will apply to your bank account. This will apply to a mortgage. If you've had a mortgage or you've refinanced within the last 3 years, then you're still within that window where you can reclaim the interest on that particular. And when I say reclaim the interest, you're reclaiming the interest equal to the face value of that instrument. Okay, so if you have, give you an example, like we talked about, $500 a month for the mortgage, and then $500 coming out for the car, that's $1,000 worth of security that you've created. What you're reclaiming will be the face value of those instruments. So it would be the entire $1,000, because that's what you created, because you didn't receive any of the interest back. So we're going to teach you how to do that. It applies to bank accounts, mortgages, credit cards, car loans, lines of credits, and any other type of bank loans. And we can go back 3 years, and you can do this process and reclaim it through your bank. Some of the things that we're going to cover, just in case you want to get a jump start, some of the reading materials that we're going to go through and tie this all together so you can have a full understanding of why this is lawful, how this is lawful, and why you need to do it to actually decrease the national debt. We're going to talk about the Affidavit of Walker Todd. If you have not read that, I would highly encourage you to read it, because he actually worked for, he was an expert witness in a case, I think it was 1999, I can't really remember, but he worked for the Federal Reserve, and he basically, in this particular case, he witnessed and wrote just a great piece on the creation of money. And when we all understand that we create money by way of our signature, it turns on the light bulbs for a lot of different situations. So if you haven't read that, that's one of the things that we're going to go through in the class. If you want to get a jump start, Google it, start reading it. We're also going to go through modern money mechanics, which wasn't supposed to be disseminated into the public. However, it did get out some years ago by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, and it also shows how banks ledger and how banks create money through us. Okay. Also going to talk about the Emergency Banking Act. If you're not aware, we've been under Emergency Banking Act since Roosevelt was in office, and that was enacted March 9th, 1933. We've been under the Emergency Banking Act, and that means a lot of stuff. Number one, I'll give you a hint. If you have a lot of money in the in domestic banks within the continental United States, I would encourage you to find a foreign bank that you can trust and move your money. Also, we're going to talk about the United States Code Title 12, which regulates banks, and then also we're going to tie in the Uniform Commercial Code and how you can utilize Uniform Commercial Code to actually reclaim your interest and get a resolution from your bank. So if you're on YouTube and you're not actually on our webpage to register, look in the description box and click on that link if you'd like to register for the class. If you're on our website already, then just below click the link there to get registered for our class. The class will be recorded and the documentations will be available so that you'll have the information for life that you can refer back to. And once you start doing this process, and you go back and you do your initial, past 3 years, you can start doing this every single year going forward, until you stop banking or, whatever. But you can use this process going forward. Let's see, what else? If you won't be available for the live class, you can still register, and you will receive, once we're done with the class, you will receive all of the recordings, again, along with all of the documentation, PDF files, and the other forms that we utilize and send to the banks. You'll have copies of all of that information. So hopefully this has been helpful, and hope to see you in class. Take care. Have a great day. Peace and blessings.